JK accessories. PB2A16S, no. PB1A16S, no. PB2A16S version 14, no. PB2A version 15, no. Where the hell? Oh. Found it. Welcome back to the off-grid garage here in sunny. It is pretty sunny. 11 degrees this morning, freezing cold, 11 degrees. But now we've got 30 amps outside. We are on 10% state of charge with the battery shelf. Not bad. Yeah, after the yesterday's not so great review of the new Jakiper battery, I decided to do a bit more testing with the Pace BMSs again, because we've got 3 Jakiper batteries here, and probably a year back when the JK inverter BMS came out, we converted this Jakiper battery. We swapped the Pace BMS with a JK BMS. Communication board is very much the same, only the ADS switches, they are mirrored basically, but all the cables, contacts and ports are all the same. Power button of the JK is a bit smaller, so I never got around to actually fix that here. But yeah, to do more testing with the parallel functioning of the Jakiper, of the Orientpower batteries, I want to convert this one here back from JK to the original Pace BMS. Yes, I know, right? So this morning I've already opened the case here. Look at all these bolts here. They all have check marks. Everything is tested and torqued. Why is this not being done in this battery? So at the moment it is unclear if this is actually affecting all the new Orientpower batteries or just this single one here. It's very hard to tell. So if you have bought one of the new Orientpower Jaki batteries with a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, can you just open the lid and have a look if you can see any check marks here? The battery terminals are fine, but have a look at all the other connections here. Breaker, terminals, BMS. I would be interested to hear from you if your battery is actually checked and marked correctly. Alright, and we have plenty of space here in the front of this BMS here. I really like it. It's a bit of waste of space actually for these batteries here, but it gives the BMS good cooling space and it's so easy to work on these batteries now. Let's remove the front panel here and see what we got. But before that I'll take the negative and positive of the main battery off and we disable all the balance cables. And I also want to check if the Pace BMS is still complete. Oh yeah, that looks good. Positive, everything here. What a nice BMS. We've got the power button for it here as well with the connection harness for it. Alright, let's do it. Okay, here, main positive gone. Balance cables unplugged. Okay, 13mm socket. And we are covering all the exposed terminals here for safety reasons. I really leave only the negative exposed now. There we go. Front panel with a JK BMS. So this should be a fairly straightforward operation. Take these two off. These two off. Probably should save these screws, right? Power button, communication, cable, situation. That's it. Bye bye JK BMS. Hello Pace BMS. Welcome back. Does it go this way or this way? Battery negative goes here. These cables are far too long now, because they need to go, P negative is here. They need to go up here. I probably should mount this one first. But before we tighten this, we need to make sure the power symbol is actually straight. I don't think this actually fits. I think the PCB is the wrong way. Because look at this, these cables need to go over here. Yeah. But this one needs to go to the main negative of the battery. This is far too short. But if I turn the PCB around so these connectors are actually on here, that would be long enough then, right? Jeez, it takes a bit more effort than I actually thought. Okay, let's see if we can make this somehow. Okay, dann müssen wir die hier noch mal ein bisschen drehen. B negative goes to the battery and P negative goes to the terminal. Perfect. Positive here. Okay, we are done. What a nice little Sunday morning project. Yeah, this was another one of these short time lapses because it went so quick. So everything is back connected. Positive here with a positive cable for the BMS. Negative goes to the BMS directly. All these ones are retorqued. I checked all the connections on the BMS down there and over here. Balance cables are connected. See, on the orientation of the BMS makes only sense like this with the balance cables up here in the corner. If the BMS would be the other way around, these connectors would be all the way down there and far too short to connect to this harness. We can turn it on and see what is going on. Oh, it is back to life. Look at this. And I was going to replace this one here actually with a JK display. But now we are back in business. 52.7 volts. And the capacity is 70%. Yeah, 70% is definitely not true, but this is the default setting of the BMS now. We would need to do a full charge and discharge now to calibrate the BMS again to this battery. Basically, the BMS has forgotten about this battery here completely and needs to relearn what the capacity actually is. But we will do this later. This is not the purpose of this test actually. So I want to connect this BMS now to the computer first and see what model we have, and then compare the models to the brand new one with the Wi-Fi, to the older 230 ampere hour battery, and to the older 100 ampere hour battery. Exactly. I think we've got 3 different Pace BMS models here. And I want to see if they communicate somehow to each other. Okay, let's use the BMS tool 203 because this one also shows us the voltage difference here. And we go to open. I've now connected the new BMS with the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. And we can see it does not connect. It says down here communication mismatch. So something is not working. So we have to actually use the newer version, the 204. And this one connects and works with the new BMS with the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. But this software doesn't show us the delta anymore. Pace BMS, what are you thinking? You're releasing a new version of your BMS tools software and it doesn't include the delta anymore. Why would you do that? All right, so here we can see all the 3 versions now. So this is a P16S200A. The same as this one, but this one has a different model, 41995 21530. And I believe this one is the firmware version 1.0. This is a 1.2. I did one firmware update for the Pace BMS, and I think it was on the 230 amp on this battery here. So that's why we see a 1.02, but it's only for this model. Yeah, I cannot use this firmware for this battery here, and they are all on firmware 1.0. I mean, they have never been updated. And if we have a look at the Pace EX website, this is the manufacturer of these products. We can actually go to household energy low voltage and scroll a bit further down, and we can see the BMS is here. And I believe this one, yeah, that's the one we just know. This one here, this is a 50 amp, 100 amp, 120, 150, 200. Then there's a 300 and a 100 amp with integrated communication port, yeah, like the Seplos BMS. And we have just installed this one basically here. And guess what? There is no download, no further explanation. There are some product parameters and the application field. Hey, nice picture here, AI generated. There's a phone number, maybe I should ring them. There's a form you can fill out to get in contact with them, but there's no firmware update possibility or something for these BMSs, nothing. There's also no download or service or support button up here. Hong Kong office, jobs, okay. Company dynamics, no. Power scheme, products, about, Nothing. So there's no official download link on the Pace BMS website. So we cannot upgrade any of these BMSs actually here. And I believe this firmware is actually compatible with this firmware. We want to test this, but the overall model number seems to be similar at least, while this one is a completely different one, and that's why it doesn't work. But why would you develop a new BMS which is not compatible with all your old products then? Do you really believe people are buying a new BMS or a new battery just because they want to connect everything together? So this is the 100 ampere hour, this is the new 230, this is the old 200. This one has turned off again. I don't know why this BMS turns off all the time. There's no setting in the configuration anywhere. It stays online for 5 minutes and then it turns off. I know the state of charge is only at 5% or something, but the same on this one. But this one stays on, this one doesn't. And there's no alarm or something. Yeah, it's not a low state of charge alarm or anything else, nothing. But it turns off very, very quickly. All right, anyway, so let's make this one our master. The master has to be on number 1 on these BMSs, not 0 as in the JK. And this one goes to number 2. And we just connect this one here with the one down here. So master and slave. Okay, let's just open the software here again, start monitoring and see what we get. All right, it has changed to address 1 here because we've now got the master on 1. And can we actually go to the second battery here? No, we can't. How do we see the other batteries? Multi-monitoring. Display. This is pack number 1, number 1, number 1. How do we get to pack number 2? Yep, it is still on. I have no idea. I don't know if this works now or not. Okay, there's only one way to find out. We have to connect these batteries to the servo and have a look what's going on. There's still the 4 JK BMS is connected. Give me a second. I've connected the master Pace BMS now to the servo. So it shows us 37% state of charge. Let's have a look in details if it actually shows both batteries. It does show us both batteries, but the installed capacity is totally wrong and the available capacity is totally wrong again. Okay, let's only have one BMS connected. This is the 100 ampere hour Pace BMS now. Could take a moment. Yeah, one online, 100 ampere hours, available capacity 1128 ampere hours. Okay, let's do a redetect again, a redirect, a redetect details, one battery. Nah, but still, see, the communication is not right. I'm not even sure if this one is actually sitting on the right parameter settings. Where can I change the protocol? Where can I see the protocol which is being used here? Remember, it is not in this software. We have to go into a different software. We use the BMS tool 203 again, the older version of the Pace BMS tool, and we can go, okay, hang on, open. Go to system configuration, and here we've got an inverter protocol section, which is missing in the new version. Why is this happening? Okay, CAN protocol sits on Victron. Okay, all good. This one, okay, yeah, this one sits on 1. Maybe it works with the older software actually. Let me check this. If it shows the slave BMS here as well. I need to change it over here. Oh no, I need to tell him I've got 2 batteries and now I can change it. Oh, it does it automatically. It goes back and forward all the time. I think this is the interval here. Nah. So this is pack number 1. This is pack number 2. Has a lower voltage. We can clearly see that. Okay. So this works now with this older software. The older software shows us the parallel batteries. And here we've got 2 batteries online, 200 ampere hours, which is not correct because the slave battery has 230 and the master has 100. But it only sees 2 batteries online and doubles the capacity, which is totally wrong. So that is a big bug in the software. Not good. Okay, anyway, we go down to parameters. Have a look on 55 volts it sits. So if I go back into the software here, we can have a look like this. Go to parameter settings. We do a read. Which one does it read now, the master or the slave? So, okay, the master sits on 70 amps charging current, and this is exactly what it shows up here. And the discharge alarm sits on 60 amps, but this one is now doubled because we've got two batteries. But it actually doesn't double the CCL, the charge current limit. Let me unplug the slave BMS and see if this one actually goes down. 60, 35. 35 only? Why is it showing only 35 now? And if I change this one here to 50 and go to right, how does CCL change? Not at all. That's cool. Pack full voltage, 55.2. Right. Yeah, this changes to 55.2 in this servo, but the current does not change at all here. Why is it showing 35? Okay, here we've got the Pace BMS here, and we say CVL, CCL, and DCL can be set by CVL is the pack full charge voltage. Okay, this works actually. CCL is the charge over current alarm divided by 2. Oh, you know what? I think these boxes were not ticked before. I'm a stupid person. I just remember I had this problem before and couldn't set any information. And now it clicked again. If you untick these boxes here, it does not include this whole box when you write the parameters back. And I think they were all unticked, all of them. So, okay, let's try it again here. Read succeed 100. Okay, if I do 50 and go to write all, it should go to 25 now. CCL should be 25 now. Now it works. Okay, now we've got it. So, this is a bit of a stupid thing now with this BMS here. You have to set the alarm twice as high as the actual desired charge current from your inverter. Yeah, this sits on 50 amps and it charges only with 25 amps, but the discharge is exactly the same as the discharge limit. So this logic makes no sense to me. What does it say here? The PC. We've got actually a newer software for one of the BMSs. This is a 216, it's a different model again. P16S200. That might be 200, 530. 530, this is the one. Okay, this might be the actual Pace BMS Google Power has sent me way back in the day, because they were changing from a Google Power BMS to the Pace BMS in their pre-assembled batteries. And I did all the testing for the Pace BMS, and this seems to be a newer hardware version with a firmware 2.0. And here in the list we can see the version 2.0 of the firmware is actually using the charge over current alarm, not divided by 2 as in the other BMSs. Let's change this back to 100. Just for the sake of testing 100, everything is 100. So it's easier to see what's going on there. So this should go to 50 now, perfect. Okay, this works. And here the charge voltage limit we set to 55.2 just for the sake of having all the parameters correct here. Okay, let me connect the slave battery again, which has turned off by the time. The CCL has doubled from 50 to 100, and the DCL has doubled as well from 100 to 200. So I've now checked all 3 BMSs, and they're all sitting on 100 amps for the charge and discharge alarm. We should see here always half of the sum of the charge alarms. God. And here it's only a sum of the charge alarms then. So this works with the 100 amp and with the old 230. What about if we plug in the new 230 ampere hour battery as a slave? Okay, I unplug this one first, and it should have these parameters, these settings now. Yeah, 50, 100. And now I plug in the new battery with the new Pace BMS with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So this is now my slave. And let's see what's going on here. Does it recognize anything at all? Oh, it does actually. It does work. Look at this. Holy shit. Let's see what we have. Yes, there is communication. See, battery number 2, this is the new one, has the lowest cell voltage. And it has also the minimum cell temperature of 18 degrees. These numbers make sense. So obviously there is some communication going on. Yeah, and this one is still completely off. It sees 2 batteries online and just doubles the capacity from the first battery. Okay, let's turn this around and make the new battery the master and the 100 ampere hour battery at the top the slave. Right, here we go. Yeah, that's correct now. All right, so 6% it says only. Let's go into details and see what's going on here. Ah, it doesn't recognize the slave now. So it shows only 1 battery, and this is the 230, this is the new one as the master. But look at this available cap. I mean, come on. 4. Oh, it just came online. But here again, it doubles the capacity. Doesn't read what's actually in the battery. So you can never parallel a 280 and a 304 ampere hour, which is almost the same capacity anyway, or an MB30 or 31 or something with slightly higher capacities. It would always show you the wrong capacity here. But yeah, it actually works. Parameters. Ah, here we go. The discharge current limit is on 0. The charge current limit is on 180. That is 100 plus 100, and then they take 10 amps away per battery maybe? Let's confirm. I unplug this slave. It's only the new battery now. And it should tell us 90 maybe? 90? 100? Let's see. Let's wait. Let's wait. Doesn't do shit. Why is that? It's not working. Okay, let's do a redetect parameters. Now, it's 180. What is it showing here? So there's something wrong. Oh, now it comes. 1 is online. Okay. What does it show us here? Nah, this is totally bullshit. All right. Parameters. 90. But 0 amps of discharge current. Let's check if we still have an alarm or something from last night, but there's no light flashing. And charge and discharge MOSFETs are both on, and we are on 6% state of charge. So everything is good, no alarm, no protection, no fault, nothing. But here the Victron doesn't show any DCL at all, nothing. Let me unplug the communication altogether. Yeah, there it is. And now plug it back in. Nah, it shows only 90 here. So that makes sense. It's a 100 amp alarm and it takes 10 amps off, so it shows 90. But why does it show 0 here? Let's double check again. Definitely sits on 100. Let's change this to 110. Doesn't change. Sits on 0 amps. No idea. Okay, there seems to be something wrong with the Victron protocol in this BMS. Do we still have this on Grovert maybe? Let me check on the BMS quickly. Okay, protocol has changed to Victron. Communication sucks completely. Let me try the Pylon Tech protocol, because this usually works with Victron as well. Okay, it now sits on Pylon Tech. Discharge limit is still 0. It would tell the inverter now, don't discharge from this battery. And nothing changes here. Does this actually change at all? 150 amps. And right. Yeah, so it communicates with the servo, obviously, but not with the discharge parameters. God, there's nobody testing this shit here. They're releasing hardware, new software, and it's all not working at all. This is disgusting. Oh, I just see the charge voltage limit is on 57.6 and not on 55.2 anymore. So obviously it uses the PEC over voltage alarm now. 56 volts, right, all. Yeah, it uses this alarm, the PEC over voltage alarm now as the CVL and not the PEC full charge voltage anymore. Why would you change that, really? All right, it is what it is. We can't help it. So we cannot use the new Pace BMS as the master because it doesn't work with a Victron system at least, or Pylon Tech or anything else. It just doesn't work. Yeah, definitely sits on Victron here, and Pylon Tech doesn't work either. So rubbish. Okay, let's do something else here. Right. So this is the old 230 ampere hour battery now with the old Pace BMS as the master, and the 100 ampere hour Pace BMS at the top is the slave. And we have the exact same result here. Both BMSs sit on 100 amp, but they're reporting only half of that as the maximum charge current to your inverter. While the discharge current between the BMS is added up and then reported as a sum to your inverter. So 100 plus 100 makes 200. And this is again here, the full charge voltage is our CVL, our charge voltage limit, which makes totally sense. So I'm not sure why they changed this in the new BMS software. Okay, let's try the... So this is the old 230 ampere hour battery as the master and the new 230 ampere hour battery as the slave. Oh, what was that? 50? It showed 50 for a moment. Okay, let's see what under details it shows. 2 online. Battery number 1 is the master. Battery number 2 is the slave. 460 ampere hours, which is correct in this case, but we know it's only doubling up. Yeah, this seems to work. What about if we introduce the third? Let me here introduce the top battery as a second slave. So we've got master, slave 1, slave 2. Yes, it does it. Okay, so DCL is easy. 100 amps plus 100 plus 100 amps makes 300 amps. The CCL here is 100 plus 100 plus 100 divided by 2. 150 amps, yeah. But yeah, this seems to work. So the bottom battery is still the master, and it should show us now 3 batteries online. Yeah, we can see the master, the slave, and the second slave here as the highest cell voltage. We've got 3 online, and down here it shows us 3 times 230, and this is rubbish. So it works actually in this direction, but the new Pace BMS firmware is not working correctly. Shows us some weird stuff here in the inverter. So, okay, I just want to quickly check what happens if one of these slave batteries has an over voltage protection, for example. So for this reason, let's check what we have, 3.29 volts. And we just set the over voltage protection here to 3.2 volts. And the release needs to be lower, 3.1 volts, for example. Alarm doesn't matter. And we write this all back to the BMS. And let's have a look what the charge current limit here does when we do that. So we should get an alarm from this BMS now. Yep, we do. Here we've got a protection and the Victron system also comes up with a notification now. JK inverter BMS, alarm, high voltage cell, perfect. So this comes up and it also reduces the charge current from 150 to 100. So it takes 1/3 away because one battery is not charging anymore. So this all works perfect. And I've also tested this if the master BMS has a cell over voltage protection. It reduces the current as well by 50 amps in this case here, but lets the connected slave BMSs continue to charge. And we can also see here, it also turns off the charged MOSFET. So it actually ensures there's no current going into this battery anymore because of this cell over voltage protection. So this functionality works actually perfectly fine with these BMSs here. Nice. See, I knew we would get something positive out of the Pace BMSs. Here it is. All right, I think we have tested enough here. We have tested enough, we have seen enough. Conclusion is Pace BMS is good for what it is, but the communication is not great. The newer models don't talk to the older models correctly, at least not if it's the master. And the older Pace BMSs still have this, I would call it a bug, where they actually halve your charge current limit. And of course I reported this problem to Pace BMS, yeah, in our little chat group here, and the reply was the 100 amp BMS and the 200 amp BMS cannot be connected in parallel. The protection capabilities are different. Please stop this wrong operation. This side cannot be compatible. Thank you. It's a bit of a harsh tone Pace uses here, but okay. Obviously we cannot parallel any batteries with different capacities if it has a Pace BMS inside. So maybe it was a bad idea after all this morning to replace the Jaki BMS with the Pace BMS again to do this parallel testing here. And we know it works perfectly fine with the Jaki BMS, so I probably go ahead and replace this again. And not only for the top battery, but for all the other batteries as well. And we install a Jaki BMS. As you have seen at the beginning of this video, I have quite a few of these lying around here. And we can upgrade this whole tower with Jaki BMSs. You just need to 3D design a frame where the actual display goes in, covers these buttons, and that's all. But this is certainly a job for another day and another video. And remember, this is all coming from the same company, from Pace, right? They develop new hardware, new firmware, and they don't make it compatible with all the previous versions. We are complaining about Jaki a lot, right? How much would we actually complain if we would only have Pace BMSs here? Yeah, and you buy a new battery on top of your existing ones, and it's not working. It's not communicating correctly with the rest of your stack. And they want you to buy a new BMS then for all the other batteries as well, or you have to wait for a firmware version, which you probably don't get if you don't have a YouTube channel with 110,000 subscribers. Guys, thank you so much. I have upgraded the number now. I still haven't printed the 11111 we need at some stage. So thank you very much for over 110,000 crazy subscribers. That is really crazy. Thank you so much, guys. And thank you to these very generous donors who are buying me a SPET. I'm still getting emails sometimes where people ask, Andy, what does SPET mean? Here you can read it. It's the solar panel alignment tool. And here are the instructions how it works. Easy as. Make sure it's cold and calibrated. Alright guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for all your amazing support here on the channel, for whatever you do, liking, sharing, commenting, leaving nice comments under the video as always. Thank you so much for all that. Without all this generous support, we wouldn't test the Pace BMS here in 3 different versions. Until the next video guys, you stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then. Bye bye. Here they are. All 3 in parallel. Works kind of, but it's not great. It's not great, right? It's not great. That's why so many people use the Jaki BMS, because it just works. Version 14, 15, 19 all work together. We've got full charge cycle modes, everything, and it works. So